Welcome to Data Project Hub. In today's video, we will solve a SQL interview question which was asked during data analyst interview. The question is, we have a transaction table which has got four columns: customer ID, transaction amount, and transaction date. Now the user has to display all these fields along with maximum transaction amount for each customer. So the user has to display maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer along with all other fields which are given. Also, we have to find the ratio of transaction amount with respect to maximum transaction amount for each transaction. So the user has to find maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer, and then we have to find the ratio of transaction amount with respect to maximum transaction amount for every transactions. So that is our aim. And in the interview, the candidates were asked to solve the question using three different methods. So we will see how to solve the question using three different methods. So before that, we are given a table called as transaction table. Let us go through the table and let us see the schema of the table. So let me query the transaction table first. So our transaction table has four columns. The first column is customer ID. The second column is transaction ID. Third column is transaction amount with respect to each customer ID and transaction ID. And we have the fourth column, which is the transaction date. For this question, transaction date column is irrelevant. So we are not going to consider transaction date anywhere in this question. So the first method by which we are going to solve the question is using window function. So method 1, this is using window function. So let us start writing query for the same. We will start with a select clause. Select, and we require the columns customer ID, transaction ID, and transaction amount. So we will explicitly write all the three columns. That is customer ID, comma. The second column is transaction ID, and the third column is transaction amount. And this is taken from transaction table. So this is taken from transaction table. Yeah. Underscore tab. Now execute this and we will get only the required three column, which is customer ID, transaction ID, and transaction amount. Now we have to find the maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer ID. Also, we have to make sure that all these transactions should be present in our final result. For that, here we are going to use the max function as a window function. So max of this column, that is transaction amount. We are going to copy this column name transaction amount, and now we are going to use the over clause, and we will specify the partition, that is partition by customer ID, close parenthesis, and here we don't want any order by clause, and this is the maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer. So the column name can be maximum transaction amount underscore customer. Yeah. Now execute this and we will get a new column called as maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer. So when we go through the table, we can see that customer ID 1001 has got 4 record. And when we go through the transaction amount, we can see that there are different transaction amount, and out of which 80,000 is the maximum. So corresponding to 1001, all the 4 records, we are having maximum transaction amount as 80,000. And coming down, going through the customer ID 1002, we can see that there are 3 records. So the maximum amount is 20,000. Among 8,000, 15,000, and 20,000, 20,000 is the maximum amount. So the maximum transaction amount column, we are getting that corresponding amount. Now in the second part of the question, it's given that we have to find the ratio of transaction amount with respect to maximum transaction amount for each transaction. For that, in the same query, we are going to write one more expression, that is transaction amount. Let us copy this transaction amount, paste it here. Now we are going to divide this transaction amount by the value which we found for maximum transaction amount per customer. So let us copy this expression, paste it here, and we will give the name as ratio. And before executing this, let me convert this value into float so that we will get some valid values in the result. Otherwise, we will get only integer values. Now execute this and we will get the result which we were looking for. So we have got the new column, which is the ratio column, along with maximum transaction amount with respect to every transaction. Now also one more thing we can do here, we can use a cast function and reduce the number of decimal values. So that also we will do here, that is cast all this value as decimal and the precision is 10, let the scale be 2. Now execute this and we will get a value with only 2 decimal values. Yeah, so the ratio has been reduced to 2 decimal places. So this is our first method. Now moving on to the second method, we will solve the same question using CTE, that is method 2 using CTE, that is common table expression. For this method, in the first common table expression, we are going to find the maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer. So let us write that first. We will write select. The column we require is customer ID. And now we have to find the maximum transaction amount as maximum transaction amount. Now this is taken from the same table, which is transaction table. Let me copy the table name. Yeah, paste it here and we will write a group by clause also because we are taking the maximum aggregate function. Yeah, so the group by is based on customer ID. Customer ID. Execute this and we will get the maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer. Invalid column name transaction amount. So I missed an N here. Yeah, transaction amount. Yeah, now it should be right. Execute this and we will get the result. Yeah, now we have the customer ID along with maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer. Let us place this query inside the first CTE, that is with maximum transaction amount. Let the CTE name be maximum transaction amount. Open and close parenthesis and place this query inside the parenthesis. So this is our first CTE. Now we are going to write a select star from the actual transaction table. From transaction table. Now we are going to create a join with the transaction table and the maximum transaction amount CTE which we created. So let the alias name be T1. We will create a left join, and the second table on which we are going to create the join is maximum transaction amount. Let me copy the table name, that is the CTE. Now let the alias name be T2, and the join is based on the customer ID column. So T1 dot customer ID equal T2 dot customer ID. And before executing the same, we will select only the required columns. So T1 dot star, that is we are taking all the columns from transaction table, but we are taking only one column from the T2 CTE, that is maximum transaction, comma T2 dot max underscore TXN. Now if we execute, we will get the new column with the maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer. Execute and we have the maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer for every transaction. Now we will repeat the same step which we conducted over here. That is, we will divide the transaction amount by the maximum transaction amount with respect to each customer. For that, after this T2 dot maximum transaction, we will write a new expression, that is T1 dot transaction amount divided by T2 dot max transaction. Here also we will convert the numerator into a float so that we will get a valid result in our output, and let the name be ratio itself. Now execute this and we will get the same result which we got in the previous query. Yeah, now we have the same result which we have obtained in our previous query, but here also we can convert the ratio column values such that it has got only values with 2 decimal places. So I will do the same thing over here, that is cast the entire value as decimal 10 comma 3. I will take 3 as the scale over here so that we will have 3 values in the decimal place. Earlier we saw 2 values. Now execute this starting from the CTE and we will get the result. Yeah, now we have the same result using CTE method. So this is our second method. Now moving on to third method. So third method is using subquery. Using subquery. So in order to write the same query using subquery, we can make use of some components from the previous query which we wrote using CTE. So the component is the CTE query itself. This query starting from select customer ID and maximum transaction amount till group by customer ID we can copy this, and this is actually acting as our subquery over here. Let us place this query inside a parenthesis and let us give the subquery name as T2. Let us place this over here. And now we are going to write a second query, which is the outer query, that is select star from the actual transaction table, that is underscore tab. Now this is the actual table which we are using in all our queries. Now we are going to create a join with this table or this query and the subquery. So here we will give an alias name as T1 and we will write a left join, and we will write the join condition after the subquery, that is T1 dot customer ID equal T2 dot customer ID. And here also we will only take the required columns in our final output. So here I'm going to take all the columns from T1 table, that is T1 dot star comma, and now we can actually copy this expression starting from T2 dot max till ratio. So let me copy the same, let me paste it here. Yeah, now let us see what happens if we execute the same. Before executing, I have to write an on over here, because left join the second table, that is T2 on we have to specify before the join condition. So that is corrected, otherwise we would have got some error. Now execute this and we should get the result. Yeah, now we have obtained the same result using subquery. So these are the three methods by which we can solve the query. So once again I will go through the method. The first method is using window function. So here we are using maximum aggregate function as a window function and solving the question. And our second method is using CTE, that is common table expression, and this is the common table expression or the CTE we have created, and based on that we are solving the question. And now coming down, the third method is based on subquery. So the subquery method is very similar to CTE. So all the three queries will be giving us same result. Either the query using window function or CTE or subquery will give us the same result for the question. And if you have got any questions, please comment the questions, or you can always mail me using the mail ID which is given in the description. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, subscribe for more. Thank you.